It's always a surprise where the laughs come. You have an idea, and then it's always something you didn't expect that gets a huge laugh, because the audience is following the story more than you think, and story is always important. The happy part of it is that they laughed from beginning to end, and then in the serious, there are a couple of serious moments between myself and Laurie, my speechwriter, who I'm very dependent on. We have this love-hate relationship, but she's very important to him, and so there are a couple of moments that are, and it's moving what happens between the two of them in the midst of all of the insanity. I love that we can go from being, really outrageous stuff, and that goes as far as you can go, and then suddenly we can turn, and she says something. Like, for example, at a moment, she says we have a big argument, and she says she and her partner they've adopted a baby. And she said, we named our baby after you, and I love when the audience, they're touched by that, and as is my character. That gives him pause, and so it's wonderful to go back and forth between the two.
And speaking of the pacing, does it vary from audience to audience, from performance to performance, depending on how they're receiving the material?
It's in a sense, no. It varies. Some audiences are from the get-go are laughing their heads off. Some are they slowly have to be led into the play, and they're a little more cautious. But you certainly this is a play where you don't want the audience to get ahead of you, and if they laugh, that's great. If not, I feel we feel confident enough with the material and with each other that it doesn't, it's nice when they laugh a lot, but they don't have to, because I feel the story works, and we're just playing what the situation, and but I would say most of the time they are laughing a lot.
Yeah, I think Wednesday matinees versus Saturday evening.
Some of those are the best shows, the matinees. People, I love the matinees. The matinee people come, they want to be there. They haven't been dragged by a spouse or they're not there on a business trip or of some kind. They're there to see the play, and or the people in the play, and they want to have a good time. Very often of an evening, they're a little more judgmental, or go ahead and show me, prove to me how hilarious you are. But the matinees are always great, especially for this show.
Well, let's go from the newest project to how you got into all of this. We were reading up in preparation for this interview, read that you did only one show in high school. You did one day of college. You didn't spend long at Stella Adler. How'd you get into this business?
I did more than one show in high school, I have to say.
Okay.
So
I was misled.
And what else did you say?
Well,
Your Honor,
not a lot of college.
No, I didn't go to college. Yeah.
But so how did you get into the business? Where did you started working? Where you were growing up in New Jersey?
It did start in school. I did a play in grammar school, and that certainly because of that I was bitten by the bug, and then in high school I did a lot of plays in high school. So there. And that really led me to feel that maybe I could have a future in it, in the profession. And I won't bore you with this story of me not going to college, but I had won a drama scholarship to St. Joseph's College in Philadelphia. And essentially, I was worried I didn't have enough money, and I had a lot of loans, and I decided in the last minute not to go. And my brother, my oldest brother, who is a teacher, and he had said to me, well, you could always take a year off and get a job, make some money, and then go to college. There's no reason you have to go right now. And so I decided to do that. And I had done some shows with a little non-equity company called the Halfpenny Playhouse in East Orange, New Jersey. They worked out of a little theater at Uppsala College, I think it was. And so I had done a couple of shows for them. I was in the ensemble of a couple of musicals, and they were putting. So when I didn't go to college, I came back and I had gotten a job for a few months, and then they asked me to do this review they had put together. It was the bicentennial was coming up, and it was a musical about the history of New Jersey called Jers. And we and I went off with them, and we toured all over New Jersey and went to schools and colleges and did this little review.
Your big number in that, the Statue of Liberty
lives in Jersey City. Yes, that's correct. Yeah. Yes. So that was the part of my beginnings.
During those beginning years, at what point did you know in your heart that you wanted to be in the theater, that you wanted to be an actor? Was it during your school years? Was it after that?
Oh yeah, no, it was definitely in school, and no, once I was in it. I was. I mean, I knew that's what I was going to pursue, especially when I decided not to go to college. And then, so I worked with them, and I just did a lot of non-equity summer stock and dinner theater, as well as this show, which sort of, kept money coming in, but I would go off and do a lot of different roles in summer stock and dinner theater, and they also worked. The Halfpenny also worked out of they worked out of a dinner theater too. They put on shows there, and. So that was sort of my beginnings, and then eventually I decided to move to New York, and that was in I'm not quite sure where it was, late '77 or '70 or early '78, and then when I moved to New York, I was doing all sorts of odd jobs, survival jobs, and then. I finally got my equity card through the Halfpenny Playhouse. They did a musical about the metric system called One for Good Measure, when we were going to maybe go metric for about 20 minutes there and somewhere there in the late 70s, and then we didn't. But I got me an equity card, and then I stopped working altogether once I got in the union, and I worked at the Equity Library Theater. I did a production of Midsummer Night's Dream at Equity Library Theater, and that led me to getting an agent, a commercial agent, and a legit agent, and that's sort of how it started in New York.
Did you move to New York with the idea of working in theater in Manhattan, in the city?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So then how did you get into President Laughter? That was like 1982. You'd been in the city a few years.
A lot had happened then. Before that, well, quickly, I had a commercial agent, so I started to do commercials, which really helped in terms of survival and making money. Oh, I did a lot of commercials, I guess, and the most famous one was a NyQuil commercial that I did. But I did a ton of commercials, and that was really helpful. And then I started to do stand-up comedy. I had. Inadvertently, through delivering singing telegrams, which was one of my odd survival jobs, in one case, I wound up kind of doing stand-up for them. It was a little wedding, and I delivered a telegram, and then I started to talk, and there was an accordion player, and they threw money at me at the end. So I started to do a little stand up, and then eventually an actor I worked with, Patrick Stack, he and I had done a little review, off Broadway review together, and we had hit it off, and we were very funny together. At least people told us that, and so we eventually put an act together.